with Intention podcast where we bring you stories from around the globe. Hello and welcome back to Rise and Thrive Mornings with Intention. Today I have a beautiful guest with me, Angela Fowler. Hello and welcome. How are you today?
Well, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here, and I'm excited to chat today. And please tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from, please.
So I'm from California, way out west here in the northern part of the state, the part of the state that the state forgot. And I'm an accessibility consultant, which is to say, I teach businesses how to make their products and services and information accessible to people with disabilities. And it turns out when you do that, you also make them user friendly for everybody because the things that you do to make sure that people with disabilities can use it, turns out most of the things, help more than just people with disabilities. And I think I'm uniquely qualified to be an accessibility consultant because I've been totally blind all my life. So I use to navigate the computer, I use a screen reader, which literally reads the screen to me, just as the name would indicate. It tells me what's on the screen. And some things are built in such a way as to work really well with screen readers and others aren't. So it's all in how you code it, and if you build it, and if you build something logically, you're helping everybody out.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's incredible what you do. So let's get into it more deeper maybe. Can you start by sharing maybe more a bit about your personal journey and what led you to become a coach, consultant, and a speaker in the accessibility space?
I'm not a digital native. I actually the first time I actually got on the internet, I think I was like 16. Um, and that was back in the Windows 3.1 days, right? I'm dating myself here. So this is back when web pages were really, mostly just text. A few images, but mostly just text. So, for a screen reader reading text, especially if it has headings and things like that that you can navigate through, it was a really easy experience. And then we started to get fancy. We started adding dynamic content to our web pages, and people didn't know how to make that dynamic content accessible. So I discovered I'd get on a web page and it'd be a lot harder to use. And it really frustrated me, especially since at the time I was part of the blindness advocacy movement, like civil rights for disabled people. And those types of movements have their place, but they really they're frustration factories, right? The frustration, multiplies and with other people's frustration and just leads to more frustration. So I realized after several years of frustration that that wasn't necessarily what I wanted. I didn't want to be the person calling up and yelling at some poor hapless customer service representative about screen readers and accessibility when they didn't have a clue what a screen reader was, had never heard of accessibility, and couldn't change things even if they did know.
Mm-hmm.
I decided I wanted to be part of the solution. So I started testing people's websites and software. People would ask me, "Hey, let me know how this works for you as a blind person." So I'd test and I'd let them know and I'd show them. I'd actually sit them down and show them. And it's it's amazing what that does for people's perspectives, right? We all, and I'm including myself in this, we all look at life through the lens of our own perspective.
Definitely.
Until and unless something comes along to change it. I'll give you kind of a humorous example. When I do these podcasts, I'm on camera, right? Because, they go up on YouTube, that sort of thing. And more often than not, I get the lighting wrong. And more often than not, it doesn't even occur to me to get the lighting right. I have to, somebody has to tell me, Angela, it's dark where you are. Oh, so I'm just going through my, looking at things, as a blind person, right? Can I hear myself? Am I speaking clearly? Not even considering the perspective of a sighted person until somebody points it out. Now, you look at accessibility. Let's turn that equation on its head. Most sighted people have never even talked to a blind person, much less even considered optimizing their website to work with screen readers. And this was brought home to me in 2021 because I got a job working on the website for the Department of Veterans Affairs. And basically, my job was to teach designers and developers how to make the website accessible. So, as I was working with them, I realized, these folks have a varying degrees of knowledge about accessibility, from knowing nothing to knowing more than I do about how to code for accessibility. But they all had one thing in common. They wanted to make the site better. And once you showed them what they needed to do, they were eager to do it. So I said, okay, let's take this information and apply it to businesses. Why are so many websites not accessible? Well, because they don't know what to do. And oftentimes they trust their web development to a third party company that also doesn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes they may think it's complicated or expensive, things like that, I bet, right?
Well, they do, and that's the other thing. Well, they think it's that there's three things that they think that might get in the way. They think it's complicated, they think it's too expensive, and they think it only benefits disabled people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me break these three things down. Um, it can be complicated. It doesn't have to be. So, labeling a link based on where that link actually goes is one of the easiest things that you can do as a web developer. Putting an alt tag on an image so that a blind person knows what that image is, once you know how to do it, it's one of the easiest things that you can do. Um, so some things I call them easy wins. Easy wins lead to confidence that allows you to tackle the more complicated. Um, Now, let's look at one of these more complicated things from a developer perspective: keyboard accessibility. One of the things that completely blocks a screen reader user from being able to use your site is if part of it isn't keyboard accessible, meaning it can't be navigated to and interacted with using a keyboard. Now you have to know some JavaScript, and if you have a JavaScript developer on your team, they really should be able to do this. You have to add what they call the proper keyboard handlers. But once you do that, blind people are better able to use it. People with, you know, disabilities that make it hard for them to use a mouse, like motor dexterity issues, are more able to use it. And some people just prefer to use the keyboard, believe it or not. Not everybody prefers to use a mouse. So you've opened it up to more than just blind people, more than just people with disabilities. Now you also have to make sure that the screen reader can talk to it. That's a whole nother But if you're a developer, it'll take a little study, but you should be able to learn how to do that. And
Hmm.
that's something that I can and real life access can help you with. Now, in terms of the expense, most accessibility fixes are really not all that expensive. It just takes a few minutes to do. But for those that are, I like to take a harm reduction approach. So I like to split the cost. So what I like to say is, okay, these are the things that are the greatest impact, and these are the things that are the easiest to do. So when we combine those things, we come up with the list of the things that need to be done first. Do those now. You've made a significant improvement. You're not perfect, but you're well on your way to where you want to be. You can truthfully claim that you're working on accessibility, which frees you from a lot of the legal liabilities of having an inaccessible website, and you can tackle the rest of it in the next budget cycle.
Wow, this all sounds amazing. To be able to help people out there who really needed it, it's definitely something. And a lot of people do need help in these kind of circumstances. And I was reading something that caught my eye too. You often talk about the 2.1 trillion buying power of people with disabilities. What does that number really mean for business owners? Can we talk a little bit about that?
Well, so yes, and this is why I say you don't make your stuff accessible to help the disabled people. I mean, it does, but the reasons go a lot well beyond that. 25% of the population has a disability. And you're going to read government statistics that are a lot less than that. That's because the government doesn't count seniors, which to me is silly, right? I mean, not only do seniors, statistically speaking, have more buying power, they also have higher incidence of disability. So the collective buying power of people with disabilities annually is over $2 trillion. Now, people with disabilities also have a lot of influence. Our friends, our family. If something isn't accessible, then we're gonna typically like any other customer that can't get what they want, we're gonna be mad at the company. We're gonna tell our friends, our family, our Facebook community, oh, this company is inaccessible. Once you factor that in, you're looking at a buying power of closer to 13 trillion.
Wow.
Now, here's what a lot of people miss though. Accessibility improvements benefit everybody. Have you ever been on a website and just been completely lost?
Just a few times, yes.
A few dozen,
Yeah. And that's
few
why,
hundred.
yeah, I believe in I myself believe in if I have to go somewhere, I want to be, with our times especially, nobody has time to sit there and trying to figure out this website. You want simplicity, you want to get what you want and get on with your life, right?
And you're right there with a lot of people. Um, the accessibility concept of consistent navigation, intuitive workflow, yeah, that's an accessibility concept, but that is a concept that helps everybody. Clear labeling of things that helps everybody.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't speak icon.
Yeah. I know some people like for example my mom like from when she was growing up like there was hardly anything like she learned on
Mhm.
computers. It was
Yep.
just notebooks, papers, a few texts here and there, little Nokia phones or something like that. Now she comes to me, she's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Can you help me? And even sometimes I look at the page, I'm like, Yeah, this one's a mess, but I'll try to help you. And then there's some you go on and they're step by step, easy to follow. And yeah, so definitely things have changed over the last few years, I would say. Yeah.
My son, he's fully sighted. He's 19 years old. He's a gamer. He also builds computers for a living.
Wow.
So, we're a tech savvy family. We know what we're doing around we know our way around a computer. My son is the person that I go to when I have computer problems. If I can't figure out how to fix it, I go to him.
Mm-hmm.
So one time I was ordering a pizza and I had to, for whatever reason, enter a new payment method. So I got to the expiration date field, and I don't know what the heck that field was trying to be. The thing where you put you enter the expiration date or you pick a date from the little date picker thing.
Yes.
It was somewhere between a box to type in, a date picker, and a rat's nest.
Hmm.
So and this was after a long day. I just, whatever. So I gave it to my son. I said, could you please figure this out? So he looked at it and he fought with it for a good several minutes. And finally he goes, this isn't even accessible to sighted people.
Oh my goodness. Wow,
So
somebody goofed somewhere.
yeah, so I asked him later. I said, good, now I don't feel so bad.
Yeah.
But I asked him later, as I was preparing some course material for one of my courses, I said, when I give you something that's inaccessible and you struggle with it too, how often does that happen? And he said 50 to 60% of the time.
Oh wow.
Now, if he's saying 50 to 60% of the time, what would my mom say?
Yeah.
And my mom's kind of like your mom.
Yeah.
She's not
Okay.
real tech savvy and she's also not real patient. I
Yeah.
love you, mom, but it's true.
Yeah, and that's why with my daughter, I'm like, okay, when mama's old, please be patient with me. I'm training her already.
She'd be the first to admit it too. She's like darn right.
Yeah. So how do you going on the kind of like more personal side, how do you balance being a mom, running a business, and making time for the things you love?
You can't get married to a set schedule. Um, you also need to make sure there's time for your family. So, I tell people I like to start my day early so I can finish early. If I start work when the kid's in bed, especially when he was younger. Now he usually gets up at the same time I do because he has to work. But especially when he was younger, if I could get a couple hours of work in while he was asleep and then work when he was in school, by the time the evening happened, then I was free. Now, when he was a teenager, more often than not, he'd shut himself in his room and not have anything to do with me, but I'd be available.
Mm, those good old teenage years.
Yeah, and you also have to, there's times when you can be interrupted and there's times when you can't. And I'm still working on this. Um, Communicating when the interruptible times are.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Um, So I saw that you are going to be an author in the Passion, Purpose, and Possibilities. Congratulations on
Yeah,
that.
thank you.
Yeah, it's coming out soon. I'm really excited for you. Can you tell us a little bit what your chapter, what the title is of the chapter, if you may, and a little bit sneak peek of what we can expect from the chapter?
Well, the chapter talks a lot about my employment journey. And there's a philosophical message that I want people to get out of it because I talk a lot about my stepdad. And he wasn't he was a really strict parent. He wasn't exactly the lovey-dovey type. But he set an example, which was you do whatever the heck you need to do to support your family. He went from small engine repair to landscaping to computer. He built computers for people. My son's a chip off the old block, I suppose. Um, Funny how that works.
Mm.
And held various other jobs. Um, so you use the marketable skills that you have, and don't be afraid to pivot. If one thing isn't working, don't be afraid to pivot to something else. And none of us are the overwhelming majority of people. And I don't say everybody because, sure as I say everybody, somebody's going to come up with a counterexample, right?
Hmm.
The overwhelming majority of people have some marketable skills that they don't, oftentimes they don't know. Society focuses on limitations. Oh, you're blind. Oh no.
Hmm.
You have this disability. You have that. Well, yeah, yeah, I do. But what a lot of people miss is the strengths, the problem solving ability. When you're blind, you got to solve problems a lot. And the things that I'm good at that really have nothing to do with the ability to see. You don't have to see to code. Now, if you start applying, visual styles to things, you kind of need at least somebody with working eyeballs around so you could tell if those visual styles did what they're supposed to do. But actually writing code, you don't need to see to do that. You can you can do a lot of things by alternative techniques, hearing, your sense of smell. You can cook using your sense of smell. Also, your sense of time, that helps too. Um, your sense of touch. And when you really need a pair of working eyeballs, you can hire them.
That's true.
They won't let me drive. They still won't let me drive, no matter what I do to try to convince them. Doggone the state of California anyway. They just have no sense of adventure.
Mm.
So I outsource that.
Yeah, you mentioned also that you use humor and straight talk in your coaching. Why do you think that your style is so effective in teaching such an important topic?
You got to be relatable. You got to make people laugh. Once you make
That's
people
true.
laugh, then they're going to be comfortable with you.
Yeah, it's like break the ice, as they say, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and honestly, there's no point in beating around the bush. We try to be so politically correct as a society that we've forgotten how to communicate.
Yeah, we try to stay within, the box or, what the society wants us to. And it's like, sometimes you just have to do what you gotta do and live your life. Yeah.
We try not to offend people. Truth is, most
Yeah.
people are tougher than they look.
Yeah.
And if they're not, there should be. I mean, this world can be a brutal place, right? I mean, if you're going to be offended by a word, yeah, oh, come on, man.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I'm not saying be a jerk. Nobody wants that, but what I'm saying is don't worry about it so much.
Yeah. Don't sweat the small stuff, as they say, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People trip over themselves when they accidentally use the word watch or see. I'm like, calm down.
Yeah.
Tonight I'm going to watch a ball game. We'll see if my team actually wins.
Yeah. The way I look at it, no matter what, like to some extent, we all have some kind of, I mean, nobody's perfect. Some of us
Yep,
have disabilities, some of us don't. But you know what? You try to live the best life that you have been given,
absolutely.
and go from there. Because if you start getting unhappy and regretful, it's just gonna keep spiraling down, and it doesn't help anybody, but when you
Yep.
live and use the best like tools you have around you and make the best for yourself and then for others, I think you've done tremendously in this world, and you're
You
proof
know,
right
life is
there.
going to throw at you whatever it will.
Yeah,
And sometimes you get dealt a good hand, and sometimes you get dealt a hand that like, God, what are you doing? Um, you know, most of the time all that pretty much evens out. It's all about what you do with the hand you're dealt. It's all about how you play it.
that's right.
Control the things you can control.
Mm-hmm. You
Let the
mentioned
rest of it take a hike.
yeah. You've mentioned you're also in another book. Can you tell the readers what's the other book you're in? And then, of course, in the video, we'll share the links so people can follow you, get in touch with you, and all that. But please share the other book you're in as well, Angela.
Leadership Unveiled.
I
And it
love that
came
title.
earlier this year.
And
Um,
it's on Amazon as well, correct?
yeah, it's another action taker book. And in my chapter there, I really go through my leadership philosophy and I talk about the lessons that I've learned and the principles of leadership that I've developed.
That's beautiful. So once again, we'll post the links in the chat here. So I have so many more questions to ask. We could sit here all day, but I have one final question for you. So the name of the podcast is Rise and Thrive Mornings with Intention. In your view, how important is the intention when it comes to creating lasting change in business and in life, maybe?
It is so important to wake up with a purpose. When the first few minutes after you wake up, and this is something I'm just discovering recently, set the tone for your day. Because your mind goes over the day ahead, right? And you're thinking about, well, what do I have to do today? What can I get done today? What should I work on today? And if there are things on that list, unless you're just taking a Sunday off to watch football, which I did yesterday, that's
No.
fine. Then your mental rundown should be like, "Yay! Sunday off after a long week. I'm going to watch me some football."
Nice.
But if that mental rundown has things, okay, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to finish this. I've got this happening. If there are positive things on that list, then you're going to begin your day a lot better than if you wake up and you're like, what the heck is my purpose today? I have no idea why I'm even waking up this morning.
Yeah. That's true. I love that. I absolutely love that you have such a positive outlook on life. And thank you so much for being here with us, Angela, today. And for listeners, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and like the channel. And this way you get notified when the new episodes come up. So for now, thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Angela, thank you so much for being here with me today. And have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much.